The trade convoy Tiravel moved through the endless black of space like a slow, glittering snake. Dozens of cargo haulers, fuel tankers, and escort craft floated together in a loose formation. Their engines glowed faintly, their shields shimmered softly, and their hulls reflected the pale light of distant stars. Captain Rilvek sat in the command chair of his flagship, the Voran Star. He was a Saren, tall with silver-blue skin and dark, glassy eyes. His long fingers tapped the armrest. As he studied the navigational display, the stars ahead formed a strange, empty gap. No nebulae, no asteroid fields, no trade routes. Just nothing. That empty stretch of the galaxy had no name on most charts. Only a faint red outline marked it, with 3 words in the common trade: language, human space, restricted entry. Rilvek narrowed his eyes. "Bring up the alternate route," he ordered. His navigator, a small-scaled Yalari named Pivesh, flicked a claw across his console. A new path appeared, longer, looping around the empty zone. "This one will take 12 extra standard days, Captain." 12 days, Rilvek muttered. That meant more fuel, more food, more time before they reached the profitable markets of the core. Time was money. Every delay cut into his profits. The convoy's communications officer, a pale-furred Talari named Zurek, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Captain, I would not recommend entering human territory." Rilvek gave him a sharp look. "You believe the old stories?" Zurek's fur rippled, a Talari sign of nervousness. "They are not only stories. No ship that crossed deep into human space without permission has ever been recorded leaving again." Rilvek leaned back, smirking. "Maybe they were pirates, maybe they got lost. Or maybe humans just want to keep trade to themselves. It doesn't mean they are gods of war," Pivesh hissed quietly. "They say humans are unpredictable, dangerous. Some claim they still fight like they did before they joined the galaxy, like predators." Rilvek waved a hand. "Predators or not, they don't own the stars, and no predator scares me. We'll just cut across the edge of their space. No deep entry, no trouble." A few of the bridge crew exchanged uneasy looks, but no one challenged him. The convoy adjusted its course. Slowly, the stars outside the viewport shifted as they drifted toward the black gap. There was no welcome beacon, no border station, no flashing warnings, just the silent pull of the void. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The Voran Star's engines hummed smoothly. Cargo haulers trailed behind like obedient children. Even Rilvek began to think the stories were exaggerated. Then the first strange reading appeared. "Captain," Pivesh said, voice tight, "our navigation array is glitching. The stars are moving wrong." Rilvek frowned. "Explain." The computer shows small shifts in nearby star positions and tiny distortions. But when I look at the viewport, I see nothing. It's as if something is bending the light. But the sensors can't track it. Rilvek's jaw tightened. "Could be a sensor fault. Recalibrate." Pivesh tried, but the readings only grew stranger. Several ships in the convoy reported the same thing. Even the escort ship's military-grade scanners couldn't identify the cause. That was when the proximity alarm sounded. "Unidentified object detected," Zurek announced. His fur stood on end. "It is approaching at extreme speed." "From where?" Rilvek barked. Zurek's voice shook. "From nowhere, Captain. It wasn't there 1 second ago." On the main display, the object came into focus. At first, it looked like a jagged piece of shadow drifting in the void. But shadows did not move like that and accelerating without engines, changing direction without any visible thrust. The crew stared. The object grew larger, angular, black as the emptiness around it, broken only by the faintest shimmer of reflected starlight. No markings, no lights, no heat signature. It moved like a predator closing in on prey. Pavesh's voice was barely A whisper. It's a ship. Rilvek tried to sound confident. Open a channel. Identify us as a trade convoy, harmless and peaceful. Zurek worked quickly, sending a standard greeting. There was a moment of silence, then a voice replied. It was not the clicking tones of sarin speech, nor the melodic trill of Yilari. It was deep, smooth, and calm. The words were in perfect trade language. You are trespassing. Turn back. The bridge went silent. The voice had no aggression, no threat, but it carried a weight that made Rilvek's spines prickle. This is Captain Rilvek of the Voran Star, he said into the comm. We are only passing through the edge of your territory. We mean no harm. Another pause. Then the same voice, unchanging. Turn back. Rilvek muted the channel. They are bluffing. This is just intimidation. Zurek stared at him. Captain, if they are humans, we're not going deep, Rilvek cut in. We're just skirting the border. They have no right to stop us. He ordered the convoy to continue forward. For a moment, the strange black ship drifted away. From their path, it seemed they had won. Then it vanished from their sensors. Where did it go? Pavesh demanded, frantically scanning the area. Before anyone could answer, the shadow ship appeared again, directly ahead of the convoy, blocking their route. No acceleration, no warning, as if it had simply teleported. The human voice returned. Stay. Warning! Turn back! Rilvek's teeth clenched. Ignore them! Continue! It happened in an instant. The Voran Star's lights went out. Engines stopped humming. Control screens went black. All across the convoy, reports came in. Systems dead, power gone, weapons offline. Life support was the only thing still running. Rilvek gripped his chair. What did they do? Pavesh's claws danced over a dead console. They shut us down, without firing, without even touching us. Zurek's fur bristled. They could have killed us. Then just as suddenly, everything came back to life. Lights, engines, controls, all working perfectly again. The voice returned, calm and cold. Do not test our patience. For a long moment, the convoy floated in silence. Every crew member felt the weight of the unseen power before them. Rilvek's pride burned in his chest, but something colder crept into his thoughts. The understanding that they had just been at someone else's mercy. Someone who hadn't even needed to try. He stared at the black warship on the screen. No visible weapons, no glowing energy shields. And yet, it had done something no alien technology could. The shadow ship turned slightly, drifting aside as if inviting them to leave. But instead of retreating, Rilvek's mind began to plot. If this was the power humans held at the border, what could be waiting deeper inside? The black warship drifted in front of the Voran Star like a shadow that had taken shape. No lights, no markings, no visible weapons. Yet the entire convoy had stopped, frozen in place, as if afraid that any movement might draw its attention. Captain Rilvek sat in his chair, silent. His fingers drummed slowly against the armrest. On the bridge, no one spoke. Even the low hum of the ship's systems seemed too loud. The human voice returned, deep and calm. This is your second and final warning. Turn back. It was not a shout. It was not angry, but it had the weight of a law that could not be broken. Zurek, the Talari communications officer, glanced nervously at Rilvek. Captain, we should listen. They have already shown us their control over our systems. Rilvek's jaw tightened. Control or trickery? They shut us down, yes, but they restored everything. That means they don't want to fight. Pavesh, the navigator hissed softly. Or they don't need a fight to win. Rilvek ignored him. He opened the comm channel. Human vessel, this is Captain Rilvek of the Voran Star. We are a peaceful trade convoy. We mean no harm. We are only passing along the border. The human voice did not change. Your intention does not matter. You are inside restricted. Space. Leave now. Rilvek's spine stiffened. "We are not deep inside your territory. Surely—" The channel closed. Just like that. No reply. No negotiation. The convoy waited in the stillness of the void. The black warship hovered ahead, motionless. Then, without warning, it vanished from their sensors. Zurek's fur rippled in alarm. "They're gone!" Pavesh's claws moved rapidly over the controls. "No, they're still here. I just can't see them. The sensors can't track them at all." Rilvek forced himself to sound calm. "If they're gone, then we proceed." The convoy moved forward again, engines firing softly. One by one, the cargo ships followed. For several minutes, nothing happened. The empty void stretched out before them. Rilvek almost allowed himself a smile. Then the black warship appeared again, directly beside the Voran star. It had not approached. It had simply appeared. On the main viewport, the alien crew got their first clear look at it. Its hull was made of dark, angular panels that seemed to swallow light. No seams, no windows, no visible engines. It looked less like something built and more like something carved from the emptiness of space itself. Its shape was wrong. Angles that seemed to shift when you looked at them. Edges that felt sharper than reality should allow. A thin beam of light scanned the Voran star from bow to stern. No damage, no intrusion, just a silent inspection. Then, the voice returned. "Last chance." Inside the Voran star, the crew whispered to each other. Some urged retreat. Others argued that this was nothing more than an elaborate scare tactic. Rilvek's pride burned hot in his chest. "We are not criminals," he told them. "We have every right to travel the stars. If humans think they can scare us away from an empty void, they will learn otherwise." Pavesh looked at him sharply. "Captain, do you know the last time anyone saw a human in person?" Rilvek shook his head. 200 years ago, the navigator said quietly. "They withdrew from all open contact. They keep their worlds closed. They do not attend Galactic Council meetings. They do not trade except on their terms. And no one knows how large their fleet is." Rilvek stared at him. "Stories, rumors," but his voice lacked some of its earlier strength. The convoy pressed forward again. They did not get far. The black warship slid into their path for the third time, but this time it moved differently, faster, sharper, like a predator making its final approach. A sudden ripple spread through the void around them. The stars themselves seemed to warp, as if invisible waves were bending space. One by one, every ship in the convoy reported strange malfunctions. Shields flickering, weapons, locking and unlocking, engines briefly surging before stabilizing again. "They're inside our systems again," Pavesh said. "I can't stop them." Zurek's voice trembled. "Captain, this is not a bluff." Rilvek stood, his mind racing. He had to decide. Back down now and lose face before his crew, or push forward and risk disaster. Before he could choose. The human ship made the decision for him. With impossible speed, it moved to the side, revealing something behind it. A massive, dark shape floated in the distance. At first, Rilvek thought it was an asteroid, but asteroids did not have straight edges. This was a structure, angular, towering, and covered in the same black material as the warship. It was not just one ship, it was a station, and from its shadow, several more black vessels emerged, each as silent and lightless as the first. The human voice came again, calm but final. "Leave now. You have entered a place you are not ready to see." The bridge crew of the Voran star stared in, stunned silence. The convoy's escorts reported that their targeting systems had been completely overridden. Every weapon they had was now locked, pointed harmlessly into empty space. Vesh swallowed hard. "Captain, if they wanted us gone, they could remove us in seconds." Rilvek said nothing. His mind struggled to understand the scale of what he was seeing. How many more ships were hidden out there, cloaked in the black void? How many stations? How many weapons? And if this was only the border of human space, what was deeper inside? Finally, Rilvek spoke. Hold position. Open a channel. Zurek hesitated, but obeyed. Channel open. This is Captain Rilvek, he said slowly. We will turn back. There was a pause. Then the voice replied. Good. The black warship drifted to the side, opening a clear path back toward the stars outside human space. No weapons fired, no pursuit began. The humans simply watched. The convoy began to retreat, but Rilvek's eyes stayed locked on the dark station in the distance. Something about it unsettled him, its size, its strange, unnatural angles. And he could not shake the feeling that it was watching them, even without eyes. As the Vorin star turned away, a faint transmission reached his private console. It was not from his crew. It was not from any of the convoy ships. It was from the human vessel. 4 words, simple and cold. Don't come back. When the border finally faded behind them, the crew relaxed. Laughter and relief filled the corridors. But Rilvek did not share their mood. He stared at the dark emptiness on the star map. Whatever the humans were guarding, it was powerful. More powerful than anything the Saren or any other species had built. Lieutenant Harris leaned back in his chair, staring at the tactical display aboard the Aegis. The alien convoy was turning away, their engines glowing brighter as they began their retreat. From the outside, it looked like the humans had won without firing a shot. But Harris wasn't celebrating. He'd served in the Void Patrol for 7 years. He had seen intruders, pirates, smugglers, curious explorers test the human space border. Most turned away after the first warning. A few pushed further and never returned. But this convoy, something about their captain's eyes on the comm feed told Harris they weren't done. He glanced at his commanding officer, Captain Ilara Voss. She was standing at the center of the bridge, her arms folded, her sharp gaze fixed on the alien flagship. They're leaving, Harris said. For now, Voss replied. The Aegis floated silently in the void. Like all patrol ships, it was painted in the black, light-absorbing material that made it nearly invisible against the stars. Its weapons were hidden behind shifting armor panels, ready to deploy in a fraction of a second. Around them, other patrol ships lurked unseen, forming an invisible net along the border. Harris checked the internal comms. The rest of the crew was on alert, engineers monitoring the ship's stealth systems, gunners waiting for orders, drone pilots ready to launch swarms if needed. What's the read? Voss asked, turning to him. Harris pulled up the scans. Convoy is mixed species, mostly Saren cargo haulers, a few escorts, and small freighters. Captain is Rilvek, registered with the Outer Rim Trade Guild. No known ties to pirates or enemy fleets. They came too close, Voss said simply. That's enough. Harris hesitated. Ma'am, permission to ask a question? Ask. Why do we keep the border so tight? I know the official line. Security, sovereignty, protection of resources. But there's more to it, isn't there? Voss's eyes flickered toward him, then back to the display. There's always more. And the more you know, the harder it is to sleep at night. Harris swallowed. He'd heard rumors, of course. Every Void Patrol officer had. Some whispered about ancient weapons hidden deep inside human space. Others said there was something alive out there, something the humans kept contained. No one ever gave a straight answer. Back in the alien convoy, Captain Rilvek was not thinking about turning back. He was thinking about what he had seen. The black warship, the dark station, the other ships hidden like ghosts in the void. His second-in-command, a heavy-set Bran named Doric, stepped close. Captain, the crew is uneasy. They want to leave, human space, before something worse happens. Rilvek's eyes narrowed. And you? Doric hesitated. I think they're dangerous. But I also think you want something from them. Rilvek gave a thin smile. I want to know what they're hiding. You saw that station. That was just the border. Imagine what's deeper inside. Pavesh, the navigator, spun around from his console. Captain, with respect, we survived. By luck. If we push further, we may not. We will, Rilvek interrupted. Because humans won't risk open war over a single convoy. They will threaten, yes. But if we show we're not afraid, we might learn something valuable. And if we die? Pavesh asked coldly. Then our names will be remembered, Rilvek said. Set course back toward the border. The bridge fell silent. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but no one openly refused. Slowly the convoy began to turn, heading once more toward the black emptiness. On the Aegis, Harris frowned at his console. Captain, they're coming back. Voss didn't look surprised. I told you, some people only learn by touching. The fire. Orders. She tapped her comm. Fleet Command, this is Aegis, alien convoy attempting a second incursion, requesting permission to escalate. The reply came quickly. Permission granted. Level 2 deterrence authorized. Harris felt a cold knot in his stomach. Level 1 meant warnings and non-lethal shutdowns. Level 2 meant something more direct. The convoy crossed the invisible border again. There were no beacons, no lines, no lights, just a point in space where human space began, and once they crossed it, the shadows began to move. First, the Aegis appeared in their path again. Then, 2 more black warships emerged from the darkness, on either flank, silent, unlit, deadly. Rilvek stood tall. Open channel. The human voice returned, but this time it was sharper, the calmness edged with steel. You were warned. Rilvek smiled thinly. We are only traveling. The human ship moved. One instant it was ahead of them. The next, it was alongside one of the convoy's escorts. A beam of blue-white light shot out, striking the escorts. Engines. In less than a second, the ship was dead in space. Not destroyed, just completely shut down, drifting helplessly. Doric's eyes widened. They took out our escort without firing a real weapon. They want to scare us, Rilvek said. They haven't destroyed anyone yet. Pavesh snapped back. Yet. On the Aegis, Harris watched the alien escort drift. Target neutralized. They're rattled. Voss didn't take her eyes off the display. Good. Make sure they know we can do it to every ship in their convoy at once. Harris sent the signal. Across the alien convoy, warning lights flashed. Alarms blared, and weapon systems locked in place. Every captain knew instantly that they were completely at the mercy of the humans. Rilvek clenched his fists. He could hear the panic in his crew's voices over the comms. The convoy was vulnerable. The humans could end them in seconds. But he wasn't ready to leave. Not yet. Then, from deep inside the void ahead, a massive signal appeared on his sensors. It was faint, distant, but growing stronger. Something huge, moving slowly toward the border. What is that? Doric asked, his voice hushed. Pavesh checked the readings. It's the size of a small moon. Rilvek's eyes gleamed. There, that's what they're hiding. On the Aegis, Harris saw it too. The massive object moving toward the border. His stomach dropped. Captain, why is it moving? Voss's voice was flat. Because it knows someone is too close. Harris turned to her. Should we? Yes, she said sharply. We end this now. Before they see more than they should. She opened a channel to the alien convoy. This is your final order. Leave, now, or none of you will leave at all. On the alien flagship, the voice was no longer calm. It was deadly serious. Even Rilvek felt a chill at the change in tone. Something in the human's control had slipped into urgency. For a long moment, he hesitated. His pride told him to push forward. But deep inside, instinct screamed at him to turn away. Then the massive signal on the sensors pulsed. A sudden deep vibration that shook the convoy's systems. Half the screens on the Voran star went black for several seconds before flickering back on. Pavesh's voice was a whisper. "Captain, whatever that is, we are not supposed to see it." Rilvek's pride finally cracked. "Helm, turn us around. Full speed." On the Aegis, Harris exhaled in relief as the alien convoy began to retreat for real this time. Voss didn't relax. She watched them until the last ship crossed the border again. Then she gave the order quietly. "Signal the fleet. Tell them to return it to its holding position." Harris nodded, though part of him wanted to ask what exactly it was, but he knew better. Some answers were better left unknown. As the convoy moved back into safe space, Rilvek sat in silence. He had come close to something incredible and something terrifying. Whatever the humans were guarding, it was not just for their own sake. It was for everyone's, but even as fear gnawed at him, curiosity burned hotter. The alien convoy drifted back into the void, its ships still trembling from the previous encounter. Rilvek had ordered the course away from human space, yet the memory of the black warships, the silent shutdowns, and the distant massive structure haunted him. He could feel it in his bones. The humans had more power than any species he knew, and they were willing to use it. Yet curiosity still burned. He could not help but glance at the empty stretch of stars ahead, wondering what lay deeper in that shadowed region. "Captain," Dorek muttered, voice tight. "The crew is frightened. We need to leave at full speed." Rilvek's jaw tightened. "No, Dorek. We are leaving, yes, but slowly. They want us scared. They want us to see their reach. Let's show them we are not cowards." Dorek opened his mouth to argue, but Rilvek cut him off. "Do your duty. Navigate. Keep the convoy together. That's all." On the Aegis, Lieutenant Harris and Captain Alara Voss watched the aliens' movements. They didn't understand fully. Harris said, frowning. "They turned back, but only a little. If they continue pushing, they will force our hand." Voss nodded. "Then it is time to demonstrate. They must understand clearly and quickly why no one enters human space." Orders were given. Silent, invisible drones deployed from the Aegis, surrounding the alien convoy. They did not fire immediately, but the alien sensors picked up the faint energy signatures. Hundreds of objects moving faster than the speed of light, unseen to the naked eye, all ready to strike at any moment. Harris leaned closer to his display. "Captain, they can't see them." "Good," Voss said softly. "They will feel them." Back in the convoy, alarms suddenly blared. Every ship's weapon systems locked. Engines pulsed erratically. Shields flickered in strange patterns. The aliens could not understand what was happening, only that their control over their own ships had vanished again. Rilvek's hand tightened on the console. "They're showing us power again. Calm, precise. They don't destroy, they demonstrate." Pavesh hissed. "It's more than demonstration. They could end us in seconds." Rilvek didn't answer. Instead, he ordered the convoy to slow. "Watch. Learn. This is why they own this space." The black warships reappeared, seemingly materializing from the void itself. One slid alongside a disabled escort ship from the convoy, its hull perfectly still. A thin, blue-white beam connected the two vessels. Within seconds, the escort powered down completely. No propulsion, no shields, no communications. It drifted helplessly, a stark warning to the other ships. Dorek's claws clenched. "Captain, this is insane. They don't even touch it, yet it stops everything." Rilvek's voice was calm. "They have control, total control. And they're showing us we can see the edge of their reach, but not the full extent." Another, Warship moved to the side of the convoy following the same procedure. This time, the aliens' sensors recorded an impossible sight. The humans' ships, smaller than the massive structure behind them, acted like extensions of a single will. The aliens could not count them. They could not predict them. And yet, every action was perfectly precise, Harris observed from the Aegis. "They are learning," he said. "They are beginning to understand why we keep this space closed." Voss didn't respond. She was watching the convoy, noting every movement. The humans had only demonstrated minimal force, just enough to show they could disable the alien ships, without destroying them. The lesson was clear. Human space was not to be entered. Harris hesitated. "Captain, the big structure, it's still out there." Voss's gaze darkened. "Yes, we guard it for a reason. That is why we let no one enter. Our duty is to keep it contained and safe. And today, we taught them that crossing the line has consequences." The alien convoy began to retreat in earnest. Rilvek could feel his pride fighting with his fear. The humans had shown overwhelming power, yet had not fired lethal weapons. This was intentional. They wanted to send a message, not just to scare, but to teach. Vesh muttered, "We have never faced anything like this." "No," Rilvek admitted. "Nothing like this exists in any star system we know." Even as the convoy retreated, he could feel their eyes on the black warships, noting every angle, every movement. Humans did not just protect their borders, they owned them. They could strike with perfect precision. And even more terrifying, they could vanish before you even understood what had happened. Doric whispered, "Captain, if we meet them again, we won't survive." Rilvek stayed silent. He understood the truth, but he also knew he had seen only the surface. The real power, the reason for such strict borders, lay deeper inside. And that knowledge, the knowledge of the massive structure, was a seed that would not leave his mind. On the Aegis, Harris monitored the alien fleet. Every disabled ship, every flicker of weapons control, every faltering engine confirmed the lesson. "They're retreating," he said. "Level 2 deterrence worked perfectly." Voss did not smile. "It will not be enough for all of them. Some will try again. But today we have shown them what humans can do." Harris nodded. "It's impressive, even terrifying." "Good," Voss replied. "They should be." The convoy had almost reached the edge of human space when a faint signal appeared on Rilvek's sensors. It was a deep, slow pulse, the same massive signature they had glimpsed before. This time it moved slightly, as if acknowledging the humans' actions. What is that?" Doric asked, voice low. Rilvek did not answer. He stared at the dark mass, feeling a shiver run down his spine. The humans had shown him power. But whatever that thing was, it was far beyond even their black warships. And if it were unleashed, Pavesh hissed, "Captain, we must leave, now." Rilvek finally nodded. "Yes, full speed to safe space." Even as the convoy raced away, Harris watched from the Aegis. He knew the aliens would tell stories. Stories of human ships that could disable entire fleets without firing a shot, of invisible vessels that appeared from nowhere, of the massive, dark structure that even the patrol feared. "They'll spread the lesson," he said softly. Voss did not respond. Her eyes remained fixed on the stars. Humans had demonstrated power, yes, but they had also revealed something deeper, something ancient, something that required the absolute loyalty of every patrol ship to guard. The border was not just a line, it was a shield, a warning, and humanity's dominion over it was absolute. By the time the convoy had fully returned to safe space, the lesson was clear. No alien captain would dare to cross human space lightly again. They had seen the warships, the station, the invisible. network of drones. They had felt the precision of human control. They had been warned, carefully, without bloodshed, yet with undeniable force. Rilvek sat in the command chair, exhausted. His pride had survived, but just barely. He had glimpsed something far beyond his understanding, something humans had hidden for centuries, and he knew. The galaxy had no idea what humans were capable of. Never again, he muttered to himself. We never go there again. Dorix sighed in relief. Let's hope no one else is foolish enough to try. Rilvek didn't answer. His mind was still on the dark structure, on the warships, on the humans who had controlled all of it with calm precision. One thing was certain. Humans were not just strong. They were absolute in their space. And anyone who doubted that would soon learn the hard way. The alien convoy had reached the edge of the void, their ships trembling, their crews silent. Captain Rilvek stared at the empty stars beyond, haunted by what he had seen. The humans had demonstrated power unlike anything in the galaxy. Precision, control, and an invisible network that could disable an entire fleet without a single shot fired. Yet there was something deeper, something that even the humans had seemed wary of. Dorix, standing beside him, finally broke the silence. Captain, what did we just face? Their fleet, the black warships, the massive structure? I don't understand. Rilvek shook his head. Neither do I. But I know one thing. Humans do not protect their borders for trade or pride alone. There is something inside human space that demands their attention. Back aboard the Aegis, Lieutenant Harris sat beside Captain Elara Voss in the observation room. The patrol ship hovered silently near the black structure, now calm again, almost like a sleeping giant. The massive object remained motionless, dark and silent, yet its presence filled the room with a weight that could not be ignored. They don't know, Harris said quietly. The aliens, they saw the warships, they felt our control. But they don't know the truth. They never will. Voss nodded. And they should not. The galaxy is not ready to see what we guard. That is why we own this space. Not just to defend it, but to contain it. Harris swallowed hard. Contain what exactly? Voss's eyes narrowed as she stared at the distant dark mass. Something older than the galaxy. Something capable of destroying worlds. Something humanity bound long ago. The black warships, the stations, the patrol fleet, they are all part of the shield that keeps it contained. If it escaped, no alien fleet, no civilization could stop it. Rilvek did not know these truths. Back with his convoy, he had barely survived the encounter. He had reported the humans' precision and power to his superiors. But even now, words failed to capture the full weight of what he had seen. Every ship in the convoy had been disabled, controlled, or threatened without a single casualty. The humans had made it clear. Enter their space again, and consequences would be severe. But why had they shown restraint? Why had they let the convoy leave alive? The answer became clear to Rilvek as he observed the alien crew. They were alive not because the humans were merciful, but because the humans knew exactly what they were doing. To kill the aliens unnecessarily would risk provoking curiosity, recklessness, or interference. Humans did not gamble with threats to their space. They controlled everything with precision. Days passed. The convoy reached a safe trade route far from human space, and Rilvek convened his senior officers. He needed to explain what they had seen, not just to report, but to ensure survival for any ship that might one day venture near again. The eyes, humans, he began slowly. They are unlike anything we've encountered. Their fleet is vast, precise, and invisible. They can disable ships without destroying them. They appear from nowhere, and they are patient. Too patient. They know what they guard. Something dangerous. something no other species should see. Pavesh nodded. I've seen the readings, Captain. That massive structure. It's unlike anything in any star chart. Larger than a station, older than any known civilization, and the humans, they control it. Doric's claws tightened. We barely escaped, and even then, we only saw the edge of it. Imagine what is deeper inside. Rilvek's eyes were hard. Yes, and that is why we must never enter human space again. They own it. Not because they claim it, not because they are proud, but because they alone can survive what lies within. Meanwhile, back on the Aegis, the human crew carried out routine checks on their patrol network. Drones scouted the border. Sensors swept the void. The black warships drifted silently, always ready, and the massive structure remained dark and quiet, like a sentinel. Harris finally understood why their ancestors had sealed the borders and why humans had withdrawn from galactic politics centuries ago. Voss turned to him. The galaxy underestimates humans. They assume we trade, fight, or negotiate like everyone else, but we don't. We guard, we endure, we survive where others would fail. Harris nodded, though a chill ran down his spine. And the aliens, they learned their lesson? Voss smiled faintly. Yes, but that is only the beginning. The galaxy will always test us, and we will always hold. Because humans are not only clever, strong, or brave, we are the only species that can protect what must not be seen. That is why no one enters human space. In the days that followed, rumors of the encounter spread through alien trade networks. Stories emerged. Ships that disappeared without a shot, invisible warships, massive dark stations lurking in the void. Every rumor carried the same lesson. Humans were different. Humans were dangerous, and humans owned their space. Rilvek never forgot the feeling of helplessness, staring at a black warship that could control his fleet without firing a shot. Every decision, every calculation, every measure of power in the galaxy suddenly seemed small compared to the human's precision and control. He reported to his superiors, but he knew they would only see numbers, not the weight of presence. Only the humans themselves understood the full scale of what they protected. Weeks later, Rilvek sat alone in his quarters aboard the Vorin star. He stared at the star maps of human space. The void that had once seemed empty now pulsed with invisible danger. He realized that humans were not merely strong in battle or technology. They were guardians. They were absolute. Their space was theirs because no one else could handle the responsibility. His communicator pinged, a message from his second-in-command, Doric. We should never go near there again. Understood. Rilvek smiled faintly. Understood. He closed the star maps and leaned back, thinking of the humans, calm, patient, precise. They had shown restraint, yes, but they had also demonstrated total control. And in the galaxy, control was power beyond imagination. Far in the void, the massive black structure remained. The warships patrolled, invisible to the untrained eye. The humans' presence was silent, constant, and absolute. No alien fleet dared cross the boundary. No trader dared enter the void. And the galaxy slowly learned the truth. Human space was not merely territory. It was a lesson, a warning, and a shield. And humanity would not fail. They never had. And they never would. Captain Rilvek's final thought as he left human space behind was simple, yet chilling. He knew now why no one entered that space. Not because the humans were aggressive, not because they wanted territory, but because they were the only ones who could survive it. And anyone foolish enough to challenge them would face the consequences, precisely and without mercy. The humans had demonstrated not only their strength, but their patience, intelligence, and foresight. They had shown that they owned their space, and that owning it meant more than claiming it. It meant protecting, controlling, and surviving what no one else could. In that moment, Rilvek understood. The galaxy might never fully grasp humanity's power, but every being that crossed their path would never forget it. Humanity's lesson had been delivered, and the galaxy would remember it forever.